I came across a segment today from an interview that Kamala Harris did with CNN that I would like to share with you because it is alarming and should deeply disturb every freedom-loving American in this country. Because the implications of what she is suggesting here could threaten our fundamental rights to free speech. Take a listen to this.
He has lost his privileges, and it should be taken down. And the bottom line is that you can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter. The same rule has to apply, which is that there has to be a responsibility that is placed on these social media sites to understand their power. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation. And that has to stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am no fearmonger. I do not believe in worrying you unnecessarily. But I also don't believe in being naive. And I think that if someone comes out and says there ought to be a law, or social media companies ought to be regulated, I believe we ought to take them at their word. And make no mistake about this. This is not about trying to make sure things are fair. This is about coming after you and coming after your God-given right, your constitutionally protected right to free speech. The founding fathers understood that free speech is fundamental to the preservation of a free society. That's why they put it in the First Amendment, to protect that, so that your freedom of speech, your freedom of religion, your freedom of assembly, your freedom of press, all those things were protected. And let's face it, in the digital age, social media plays an important part of that, especially for the average American. So when they say they want to regulate Facebook, they're saying they want to be the arbiter of truth. They're not looking out for you. They're coming after you. They hate you. They hate that you have the ability to say what you want to say, to put information out there to the general public, and to be able to try to educate your fellow man, to be able to say whatever the heck you want to say, because that's a fundamental American right. And then you have people like her VP candidate, her running mate, Tim Walz, who says, no, you don't have an absolute right to free speech. You don't have a right to misinformation. Well, I got news for you. The government is not the arbiter of truth. And that's exactly what they want to be. They want to be the ones who determine what is true and what is not. They want to be the ones who control the narrative. That's why they're coming after social media companies, because they want to suppress your ability to be able to get factual information. Now, yes, sometimes you're going to have people out there who put out wrong information, but that's part of it. You put things out in the marketplace of ideas, and it is up to us, you and me, to be able to educate ourselves and to be able to discern fact from fiction. And people should have journalistic integrity. But that does not mean that the government gets to decide what is true and what is not. Integrity on a personal level and journalistic integrity are two very important things. But the fundamental idea that journalistic integrity still matters is up to the people. That's a moral issue. And government is not the moral arbiter of truth. That's what they want. And make no mistake, this is about control. And these words that she said are the actions of a tyrant. And I believe if she says this, we ought to take her at her word. And I think you ought to vote accordingly. As I said before, I do not believe that this is an election between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris some liberal. I believe this is an election between Donald Trump and the American way of self-government, of freedom, and Marxism. That's what this is. They want to control you, and they're coming after you. They're coming after our fundamental rights. And if we found out last week that Facebook was pressured during 2020 to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story that was done by the New York Times, and to suppress information about the COVID-19 pandemic, and information that was speaking out against COVID vaccine mandates and lockdowns, and to specifically target Robert Kennedy Jr. for putting out information that was contrary to the government narrative, that should scare the hell out of you. That is dangerous. And the fact that these three-letter agencies think that they have the power to be able to do that should scare you. This is threatening the very values we hold sacred as Americans. And this is something that should be taken very, very seriously. Don't take them lightly. They're not playing around about this. Kamala Harris is the daughter of a Marxist professor. None of this should surprise you. In fact, it should scare you and motivate you to fight for truth and fight for freedom. I want to see freedom preserved. I want to leave this world better than how I found it. And the only way to do that is to fight for the fundamental freedoms that made America the greatest nation in the world. Please do me a favor. Please help me get this message out to as many people as possible. We need to wake up as many people as possible about how dangerous what Kamala is suggesting here really is. So please share it. Please like this video. And please subscribe to my channel for more content.